Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're looking at how do we use a study Bible. Today, as we get into this next section of how to read our Bible or Bible 101, we're really trying to figure out, okay, how do we use our resources to get everything in context? At your tables, you're gonna find an ESV study Bible. Or if you're at home and you need a study Bible, I recommend buying the ESV study Bible. Now you might be saying, hey, don't you use a CSB to preach off of? Yes, I do use a CSB to preach off of. But for our purposes, we're gonna use an ESV study Bible because I believe that's the strongest study Bible out there right now. A ton of really great people have put a lot of effort into this. It's a great translation, but I do enjoy preaching out of the CSB. Here it is again, a little bit more. So we do this on Sundays, and we're gonna use this to study with, but they're very similar. Wording's very similar. That's just the difference right there. So the first thing you wanna do, if you've never opened a Bible before, never opened a study Bible before, never done any of that, never be embarrassed. First thing you always wanna do is if you're looking at a book of the Bible, remember the Bible's one book, but has many different smaller books that write to the bigger narrative. First thing you're always gonna wanna do is look for the table of contents. And if you see here, all of the table of contents will give you the name of the scripture. Here we go, we're gonna try to zoom this in a little bit. The name of the book and where it's at. Never be afraid to use the table of contents. Now, why do we use a study Bible? Well, today we're looking at how to get everything in context, and a study Bible will help us do that. You can use commentaries, you can use a bunch of different sources, but honestly, for studying at home, this is what you need. For studying in a Bible study, this is a great place to start. So let's give you guys a for instance. We're gonna give everybody a for instance here. So we're gonna look at the book Galatians. So if you don't know where Galatians is, I'm gonna cheat and tell you it's in the New Testament, but the best way to do it, again, go to your table of contents and look. Where does it say Galatians? So we see it in the New Testament, and we see it at page 2241. So we're gonna go to page 2241. Galatians. Now we are in the book of Galatians. We're gonna zoom in a little bit further here as we look at the book of Galatians. So, this is the book of Galatians. If you notice, it doesn't go right into scripture. No, what it does is it gives you an introduction to who Galatians is before it gets to scripture. It's important that we look at that first. It gives us the context. So as we get to Galatians, and as you open your study Bibles for the text that you're going to be looking at today, what you're going to do is you're going to open up to the very front of the book, and this is where you get the context or why that book was written. It's going to start with author and title. Again, it's important to know who is writing and who are they writing to. The date it was written. How does this fit into the narrative or where it was written in? What is the theme of the book? Especially in epistles or letters, every letter has a theme. So you want to make sure you understand what is Paul, who wrote this book, writing to the church in Galatia, or the Galatians. What is he writing about? Well, simple enough. Christ's death has brought in a new age of the covenant in which believers do not have to become Jews to follow the outward ceremonies of the Mosaic law. To require these things to deny the heart is to deny the heart of the gospel, which is justification by faith alone, not by obedience to the law. In this new age, Christians are to live in the guidance and power of the Spirit. This is the theme. If I was going to preach on this, I would preach around this theme. It gives purpose, occasion, background. It's important to read through this. Look at what maybe ancient Galatia looks like. This puts us into the context to understand how the book was written. Gives us a timeline. And then what you'll see here is that there is an outline for the book. This is one of the most important parts. I'm going to zoom in here. This is going to give you, if you're reading a specific verse, the outline's going to show you where that verse comes into play in the larger narrative of the book. It's important. This is one of your most important pieces. Then when you finally get into the book itself, into Galatians, it will start with scripture, and then it will give you at the bottom just some information about that scripture. This is good information, but without the first part of the book, it means nothing. So that is how we study using our study Bibles.